Hello, and welcome to the premiere of Mean Reviews, No Stars Given. I'm Lahr, your host. I'm also an indie author and one of the creators and hosts of the Go Indie Now channel's game show, Indie Mayhem. That's our logo. On Indie Mayhem, all of the contestants are indie creators. Here's a couple of my books. You Get What You Steal, which I wrote with R.J. Burchett. It's a humorous science fiction novel. And this is Children of Cathaldi, the first of the Chronicles, the Cathaldi Chronicles, a fantasy series. And I also wrote You're As Stupid as You Are Fat, How to Talk to Women, a completely serious self-help book. So all of those are available at Amazon, and there are more on the way. Now, this show, Mean Reviews, No Stars Given, came about from my desire to educate people about good indie books that, for one reason or another, justified or not, I can't, in good conscience, give any stars to. And the scale isn't up to 5 stars either. It goes all the way up to 100. So you can imagine what an insult it is not to get at least one full star. Um, Tonight's special guest co host is David Green, who is many things, but most importantly, the champion of the first season of Indie Mayhem. He can tell you about all the other stuff himself. Welcome, David.
Hello, how's it going? Thanks for having me on. I am delighted to be here.
It's an honor to have you on
Thank
as
you.
the champion, the reigning champion of Indie Mayhem.
Yes.
Uh, and so please tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm the reigning champion of Indie Mayhem, which is the most important thing that I've ever done in my life, I think.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. I could say that I'm the undefeated champion, but I'm not. I actually lost in the first round, but you
Well,
know,
that is an interesting bit of semantics because you are the undefeated champion, but
mm,
before you became the champion, you lost on the first episode in
I
the
did.
first round. There were 3 rounds. You lost in the first
Mhm,
round, came back for our favorite loser episode, won that,
mhm,
then won in the
mhm.
semifinals. It was it was just it was amazing.
It was like a phoenix rising from the flames, but lesser.
And well, but then you dominated in the championships.
I did.
But
I
anyway,
did.
aside from that tremendous accomplishment, what else can you tell us about yourself?
What can I say about myself? Well, I am Irish. I grew up in Manchester in the UK, and now I live in Ireland again. I have been writing for just a few years. Um, I do a lot of ghost writing, which is basically just getting paid to write lazy people's books, and which is what Ron told me to say. I would never say that myself. But I do also write my own books as well at the same time. So I have the Hell in Haven series, which is set in Ron's home state of Washington State, isn't it? I
Isn't
think.
it set in Oregon?
No, it's not. It's set in Oregon. Yeah, that's right. I
That's
keep
right
thinking. I
next
always
to.
think that you live in Oregon for some reason. I don't know why. I just always think that you do.
No, I live in Oregon's Hat, Washington.
Move to Oregon, please. And then I also I also have the Empire of Ruin series, which the first book is In Solitude Shadow, and the second book is Path of War, which just came out a couple of months ago. It's quite a big book, and they've just both been nominated for a bunch of awards. So this has been nominated for 4 awards, and this has been nominated for 5 awards because it's better than the first
Well,
one.
congratulations. I've
Thank
read
you.
all of them, but I'm not going to say anything about them because you graciously offered to let us uh, review one of your books in a future episode.
Right.
So I will dump on it then.
I look forward to reading this.
Thanks. All right, well, let's move right into it. The first book ever to be reviewed on Mean Reviews is Black Flames by Madeleine Dale. Um, let's see here. Oh no, I'm dropping everything.
Oh no,
Maddie
no.
was kind enough to send me a physical copy of her book. This is it right here. Ugh.
To get even fewer stars than that she would have got in the first place.
Well, it's not required, but it is classy. And then she also sent me some logoed merchandise, some bookmarks for a couple of her books, a
Nice.
pen with her name on it, as if I stole her pen. And then this is a journal even, and it says Chapter Goddess, which is her website.
Hmm.
Um, so I would just say that any authors or filmmakers who want their work reviewed on the show could really learn from Madilynn Dale.
Right. Did she have anything written in the journal that she sent? Was
No,
it
it
her
was
journal?
sealed. It was new in box
Ooh.
when I got it. It was very fancy. I've
Fancy.
just unearthed it today because I wanted it to be in pristine condition for me showing it off. But her book, Black Flames, Ember is the name of the main character and of the series, as well as every chapter. Uh, three completely different restaurants that the characters go to in the book, and some sort of bird in the story, a cockatoo, I believe. A little lazy, just saying. But would you, David, be so kind as to read us the blurb for Black Flames?
I will read it for you right now. Shakespeare's intertwined love polygons begin to get complicated from the start. Demetrius and Lysander both want Hermia, but she only has eyes for Lysander. Bad news is, Hermia's father wants Demetrius for a son-in-law.
All right, you Europeans are so stuck up. What was that really the blurb for?
This is the blurb for Black Flames by Madilynn Dale. Did you not read it?
I did read it, and I'm just going to say that was a disaster. We're never doing that again. I forgot how much I hate blurbs, especially blurbs for Shakespeare's work.
Let's
start. Yeah. So let's just say I'll start with the genre of the book, Black Flames. It's a modern, urban, or sort of rural fantasy with supernatural romance and sometimes smutty parts. There's a lot going on in the book, but Maddie really weaves it all together quite skillfully. I mean, if you like interesting characters and a good plot and original ideas, those aren't my cup of tea really, but I know some people like them. Ember is a part of a werewolf pack who hasn't yet matured and had her wolf emerge, but thankfully she is sexually active, which is extremely helpful for a part romance, part smut book. She isn't exactly who she thinks she is, but I can't go into any more detail without ruining all the surprises. So I'll just say that there are vampires and demons too, and some sex. So with that as our synopsis of the book, we're going to start off by talking about what we like, not what we like in this book, just what we like in general. Right. And I'll go first. I like Star Trek characters, meaning I like already knowing the characters, such as the warm familiarity of the Star Trek, the original series characters. Shockingly, none of them were in this book. I had all new characters to get to learn and know. And while they were great and well developed and all, it would have been nice to have at least some Star Trek characters to make things easier for me. And I know you're probably all thinking, what about copyright issues? And that's a great question. But my suggestion is you just change the names a little bit. Like instead of James T. Kirk, you make it Kames J. Turk. And that solves that problem. And instead of Scotty, maybe Welshie. And so if there had been just 2 Star Trek characters in the book, I bet I would have given it at least 75 out of 100 stars. But as it stands, unless some major rewriting takes place, Black Flames gets 0 of 5 warp drives.
Right, I think that's fair. I think a quick edit and find and replace would solve that issue. And I don't know why Maddie didn't do it before it came out, to be honest with you.
Me either. Yeah. What do you like, David?
Well, I like long books. And this is not a long book. This is a fast-paced, action-packed journey thrill ride, and that is just not what I like. I like long books that my arms hurt from carrying it around, that my eyes start to bleed because I've read 100 pages and there's still about 1,000 to go. And nothing has happened. That's what I like in my books, and this is the complete opposite of that because something happens on every single page, and to be honest, my heart was racing reading this book, and I did not
Gross.
like enjoy that part. No, I
Dangerous.
don't want my heart to race. I want it to be
That's
like a
dangerous.
slow and steady, just
Yeah,
barely
I get
even
it.
working. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to what we don't like. And I don't like contract breaking and disobeying your parents. And in Black Flames, Ember tries very hard to get out of an arranged marriage that her parents thoughtfully signed her up for with the son of the leader of their werewolf pack. Now, instead of gratefully obeying her parents, she rebels. And I think that is a horrible message for any young children reading this partly smut book. So I can't support that.
Right.
David.
Yeah, I agree with you. Contracts
Thank you.
are
It's important.
binding.
The foundation of our society. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. Well, I didn't like how there was no references to Lord of the Rings in this book. In fact, anything that Tolkien laid down, like, there was no little subtle nods to it. This is like a completely original take on fantasy and urban fantasy in particular.
True.
So for me, I would have to give it only 2 eagles heading to Mount Doom out of 7,000.
Shameful.
Hmm.
All right. So in summation, I give this book, Black Flames by Madeleine Dale. I guess I hold that again. 1/2 of a star, which hurts because Madeleine hosts the after show for Indie Mayhem, Talking Indie Mayhem, and she made it all the way to the first season finals before you, David, destroyed her. How about you, David? What do you give it?
Well, even though it wasn't a long book, a long dull book, and it had no Lord of the Rings references, and it was wholly original and fast paced and exciting, I would have to give it 5 stars.
You're a
I'm
piece of shit.
afraid.
The whole name of the show is no stars given.
But
You're
in a
never
realer,
going
more
back as a guest
yeah,
host.
in a realer, more fuller sense, I would give it 1/2 star.
That would okay. I'm going to pretend that you said that. If this weren't a live show, I would totally edit that out. But I'm just going to say 1/2 star since you betrayed me. All right.
Yes.
Now, before we move on to the second book, I'm going to look at the ridiculous number of comments and see if there's any good ones. There's a lot of people saying hello. Okay. Here's a good one. Nikki was also in the first season of Indie Mayhem, and she says, I was robbed. Now, I assume that Madeleine, the author of Black Flames, is saying that you, David Green, are my favorite, and that's true.
I don't think that is true. I think that Maddie is actually your favorite.
So. And then look at this. Nikki says, you have beautiful eyes. That's very nice.
I can't do this anymore.
Oh, look, a 2-time loser on Indie Mayhem. That's right. You defeated Anita Stewart in the Favorite Losers episode, the second chance. I can't remember exactly what we called it, but Favorite Losers is my favorite.
I think it was the best loser. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and this is a common misconception.
Well, that can be arranged as well. It's an extra cost that I add on to my rate. If they want me to kill myself and then write the thing, I charge extra.
That would be. This is just Anita calling me out for asking people for bribes. Thank you. And then Nikki, which is very funny that she said that, but she also said that, which
that's right.
Yeah, I mean it is, and I was actually thinking about saying that Madeleine seems so sweet, but
yeah. You see, I thought that about Madeleine before I read this book, but also before we did the final in Indie Mayhem, where it seems like she is just without morals. So,
wow. Now Nikki brings up a great point here. She says that Star Trek is overrated. But my point really wasn't that it needed to be Star Trek characters. That's just for me. It could have been any familiar character, like It could have been the people from Friends, the TV show. It could have been, the people from the Lord of the Rings. The characters, any super familiar characters. Cujo could have been a character in it. I mean, but Anita, she has a great point here. You can always work Spock into a story.
Right.
So,
The Simpsons did it many times.
well, that is true.
Mm.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. The next one, the sequel to this, is with the editor right now. So, Black Flames 2 Electric Boogaloo is due out soon. Oh, this is nice. Anita really brought everything together that we said and said Spock and Aragorn could have gone on a quest. I like that.
Yeah, I'd read that, definitely.
So would Nikki. There's a lot of comments.
Yeah.
And then this is mostly for me, but all right. Let me get rid of these. We're gonna move on now to the second book, and I need to get the cover up because he did not send a physical book. So, yeah, I know. Oh, you're telling me.
I think we should give him 5 stars for the insult.
But the book is First Fist, Seventh Bridge to the Heavens, Book 1, which here's the cover again for proof. And I'll just say, since we're not going to do blurbs anymore, I will say, genre-wise, this is lit RPG or specifically fantasy cultivation lit RPG, which means the character levels up and has skills and such and scores for those skills that we all get to see and follow as he progresses, like in an RPG or role-playing game.
That's right.
The protagonist is Luca, a crippled soldier that many bad things happen to before he starts a new religion by forming a sarcastic relationship with a sarcastic deity. And Luca is another fully developed character moving through a well thought out plot culminating in a satisfying climax. And this book is also the start of a series. So all I can say to that is another lazy author taking the easy way out by putting all of the pieces together for a satisfying story. I mean, David, won't anybody try something different?
And there's another thing that has in common with Maddie's book, because while this one has one satisfying climax, Maddie's book has several.
Indeed. Yeah, even in just one scene. Several is a good word for it. All right. Let's move to what we like. And I like the Seattle Mariners. Here they are fighting their opponent instead of playing professional baseball. And I know that the Seattle Mariners don't have anything to do with books in general, and this book in particular, but they are in the midst of an historic season. After missing the playoffs for 21 years, the longest playoff drought of any major United States professional sports team, even if you count soccer as a professional or major sport. And I believe that because of the historic nature of this season and the long drought, that every book, movie, blog post, email, basically anything anybody makes should at the very least reference this miracle season. So sadly, I have to give this book 0 out of 10 Ichiros.
Fair enough.
I mean,
and it's something, I think it's something that you could level against many books. I feel
that's true, and that's a hint for you before we review your book.
Yes,
maybe fix that.
And sneak it in there, yeah.
New edition. Everybody who writes books should put out a new edition.
Right, that's true. New editions is where it's at with a slightly different cover. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, maybe put Ichiro on the cover. How about you, though? What do you like, David?
There's a couple of things that I like and dislike. But what I like is Xbox and playing video games. And I saw that this was a lit RPG, and I sat down with my Xbox controller in hand, which I don't get a lot of time to play video games anymore, being kind of old and have a child and writing and stuff. So I was really excited. So I sat there waiting for the story to begin, and then I realised that I had to read it like a fool
Bullshit.
and not play it. Yeah, and I was very disappointed that I had to read such a riveting and well plotted story, which captured the essence of the video game and that tabletop RPG with experience and leveling up and getting different things, but didn't actually play it. I had to read it and use my imagination to picture it all. Very disappointing.
No, I get it. I I totally get it. I was furious.
Right.
I want to move on to things we dislike, and what I dislike are people who are doing better than I am. And
Yes.
this book has nearly 1,500 reviews, and I
Right.
looked at them, and they were good reviews. I mean, I'd have been happier if they were shit reviews, but they are not. They're extremely positive. So I'm very excited to bring his average down with my review.
Slightly, yeah, bring it slightly down. I just feel like there's a threshold for how many reviews someone should want, and TJ Reynolds should just give like maybe 400 of them to other people. 400 of the
Yeah,
good ones, and just give them out to people.
that would be nice. That's a great idea. We should start a charity for donating excess reviews to use on
Right,
our books. Yeah,
exactly. Like, how many
smart.
do you need really? Like, 100 is
Oh,
enough to
that'd be
get an
nice.
opinion. I think, yeah.
That'd be great.
Hmm.
So what did you dislike?
Well, this kind of ties into a like that I have in general. I like maps quite a lot. Just in general. And this book was kind enough to supply 2 maps in the book at the very beginning of the book. But neither of them are maps of Ireland, even though one of them looks suspiciously like Ireland. It is not, in fact,
I
Ireland.
I I have a visual aid for this.
Excellent. But there you go. So this is a real, on the right is a real version of Ireland. Those icons
Saying
are
it's a
actually
real
not.
version of Ireland is very strong. It looks like a children's map.
No, it's true.
Do
It's
you live
true.
by the donkey or by the bicycle?
Bring it back up again. I'll tell you where I live. I live by the little.
Sailboat? I don't know.
No, I live on the west side on the weird little squat cathedral
Yeah,
thing.
I know
But
where Galway is.
if you go over to the other side of it, you will see like a Viking ship stove sailing past and everything.
Nice.
That is what it should look like. So I just feel like, if instead of creating your own world and putting all the effort into it of making a map and making all these different towns and mountains and countries and rivers and everything like that, and going with the whole hog and building a big world for people to kind of be immersed in, just use a map of Ireland and just set it all in Ireland. I think. Why not?
Well, that really makes me rethink my books because I don't think I mentioned Ireland in any of them. So I have some editing to do myself.
It's true. You need to go back and.
I'm not sure how I'm going to fit it into my fantasy novel, which takes place on a different world. But I will share one thing with you. There's a great website called talltaleTV.com, and this guy reads short stories and maybe serialized things for free and publishes them on his website. He lost his site for a while, and audiobooks became, the only way he could access books. So then he started this deal. It's really cool, and there's an audiobook version of Children of Cathaldi, but he did a separate version, for his website of my reader magnet, Dirk Goes to Church, and he hadn't heard the audiobook for the novel, which features Dirk as the protagonist, but so he did it, and some of the characters' accents did sound like they were from Ireland, and maybe one from Scotland too. So I guess I can fit it in. I mean, he did it.
Yeah,
So,
but that's all I'm asking is just to set all fantasy in Ireland from now on.
well, can I not set it in Ireland, but then say, I meet this character and he had an Irish accent? Can I just sneak that
There
in?
needs to be some kind
Lahr,
of Irish hook in there. Yes.
like a
Yeah.
Blarney Stone or something,
Blarney
or
Stone,
Lucky
people,
Charms. They eat Lucky Charms for breakfast.
Lucky Charms, people kissing Blarney Stones, the only eating cabbage and bacon.
What
That
if
kind of stuff.
what if there's intermarriage?
No.
No, just checking. I'm just asking. I'm trying to learn about another culture.
Well against that kind of thing.
Oh, well, that's not what I heard.
Hmm.
That's great to know. I mean, I like learning.
Who
Um,
doesn't?
I don't know. That's a great question. Uh, so in summation, I give this book, First Fist, Seventh Bridge to the Heavens, Book One, uh, 1/2 of a star as well. And this really hurts because I think of TJ like a brother in that I don't know him very well
Hmm.
and I don't care for him that much, which is very similar to my relationship with my three brothers.
Right. That's very poignant, and my heart goes out to you, but also it doesn't because whatever. But we have it's funny. TJ Reynolds, and one of my very good friends is called MJ Reynolds. So I wonder if they're the same person, but maybe they are. If they are, he's never told me that he is a prolific and successful fantasy author. But I would have to give this one also 1/2 a star because of the lack of island in it. It's just and
Ridiculous.
also where is the Xbox version of this book?
Yeah. I think most books would be better as a video game.
Right.
All right, before we wrap it up, I'm gonna look at the comments again and see if there's anything good. Um, I don't know when this comment was made or the context, but I
I
couldn't
think
not put it up.
I think
Um,
Nikki was texting someone and
I
just
don't
put it into
know.
the wrong thing.
Ah, she did say she would take his extra reviews. Um,
Who wouldn't?
oh, and then, oh my God. So Anita Stewart asks if a lot of her characters are based on Irish myth. Does that count?
Well, I'll have to come back
Is
for
cultural appropriation good enough?
I think cultural appropriation is a something. It's something.
I think cultural appropriation is BS unless I need to use it to win an argument. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly. See, I think Americans can get away with it because you're from everywhere anyway,
we've
right?
we've stolen so much.
It's
Why stop now?
exactly.
Um, and Nikki's educating me that I'm thinking of Alabama, which is great because we have an Alabama author as a guest host in a few episodes. So I'll be sure to bring that up with him. Uh, that would be nice.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you for the comments. I appreciate that. We're gonna. I
Yeah.
hate doing outros, so I did it ahead of time to make things better. So I'm just gonna run it right now. Thank you for watching Mean Reviews, No Stars Given. Please like this show and subscribe to the Go Indie Now channel. I'd also like to thank
David Green.
for being today's guest co-host. You were magnificent. Everyone should buy your stuff. I was truly lucky to have you with me here on the show. We should totally hang out sometime because we are very much actual, in real life friends. I also need to thank the two writers or filmmakers who agreed to let us review their book or movie. You are very trusting, and I appreciate that. Even though their stuff is not to my liking, as evidenced by the fact that they received not even 1 star from me. I recommend that you purchase their work, even if it's just out of pity. So thank you,
For First Fist, Seventh Bridge to the Heavens by TJ Reynolds.
and also,
For Black Flames by Madeleine Dale.
you two are the best. If you would like to have your book or film reviewed on this show, please email me at ronlodellar@gmail.com. That's almost it. In fact, there's only one thing left to say, but it's an important thing. So remember,
It's always time to go indie now.